One of the most surprising announcements at Google I/O 2023 was that Google decided to skip Android 13 and jump straight to Android 14. Why did Google do that? And what does it mean for Android users and developers? The official reason that Google gave for skipping Android 13 was that it wanted to align the version number with the year of release. Android 14 is expected to launch in late 2023, so it makes sense to have a matching number. Google also said that it wanted to avoid confusion with other products that use the number 13, such as iOS 13 and Windows 13. But some analysts and insiders have suggested that there might be more to the story than just a simple rebranding. According to some reports, Google faced some technical challenges and delays with Android 13, which was codenamed Lollipop. Some of the features that were planned for Android 13, such as improved privacy controls, predictive back animations, and Ultra HDR, were not ready in time for the expected release date. Instead of rushing out an incomplete and buggy update, Google decided to scrap Android 13 altogether and focus on Android 14, which was codenamed Marshmallow. Android 14 is said to be a more polished and stable version of Android, with all the features that were originally intended for Android 13, plus some new ones that Google teased at I/O, such as Material You customizations, generative AI integration, and Wear OS 4 compatibility. By skipping Android 13, Google also avoided some potential superstitions and negative associations with the number. In some cultures, such as China and Japan, the number 13 is considered unlucky and unlucky. In other cultures, such as Western ones, the number 13 is associated with bad luck and misfortune. Some people even suffer from triskaidekaphobia, which is the fear of the number 13. Google is not the first company to skip a version number for its products. Microsoft famously skipped Windows 9 and jumped to Windows 10 in 2015. Apple also skipped iPhone 9 and jumped to iPhone 10 in 2017. In both cases, the companies wanted to emphasize a major change and a new direction for their products. So what does this mean for Android users and developers? Well, not much really. Android 14 is still based on the same core architecture and framework as Android 12 and Android 11. It will still run on most of the same devices that support previous versions of Android. It will still have the same app compatibility and security updates as before. The only difference is that users will get a more refined and feature-rich version of Android sooner than expected, and developers will have more time and resources to prepare their apps for the new update. Google has already opened up the beta program for Android 14 to more OEMs than ever before, so users can expect a smooth transition when Android 14 launches later this year. That's how Google decided to skip Android 13 and jump to Android 14 instead. What do you think of this decision? Are you excited for Android 14? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more videos like this one. In this section, we will talk about the new features and improvements in Android 14 compared to Android 12. Android 14 is the latest version of Google's mobile operating system, which was unveiled at Google I/O 2023 in May. Android 14 brings a lot of changes and enhancements to privacy, security, accessibility, graphics, and more. Here are some of the highlights. Customizable lock screen. Android 14 lets you customize your lock screen with widgets, shortcuts, and wallpapers. You can also choose different clock styles and animations. This feature is similar to iOS 16's customizable lock screen. Improved camera experience. Android 14 improves the camera performance and quality by using the GPU to process images and videos. You can also enjoy lossless audio over USB when recording or playing media. Nonlinear font scaling. Android 14 supports font scaling up to 200%, which is helpful for low vision users. The font scaling is nonlinear, which means that text that is already large won't get bigger, but smaller text will grow larger. Per app language preferences. Android 14 lets you set different languages for different apps, so you can use your preferred language for each app without changing the system language. Grammatical Inflection API. Android 14 provides a new API for developers to support languages that have grammatical gender, such as Spanish, French, and German. This API allows apps to inflect words based on the gender of the user or the context. Regional preferences. Android 14 lets you choose your regional preferences for things like date and time format, currency, measurement units, and more. Apps can also receive notifications when you change these preferences and mirror them in app. Paths are queryable and interpretable. Android 14 introduces a new feature for graphics developers that allows them to query paths to find out what's inside of them, interpolate between paths that have the same structure, and enable morphing effects. PID animations disabled by default. Android 14 disables the animations that show when you enter your PIN or password on your lock screen by default. This makes it safer when unlocking your phone in public, as it prevents others from guessing your PIN or password by looking at the animations. Flash notifications. Android 14 adds a new accessibility feature that lets you enable flash notifications for incoming calls, messages, and other alerts. This is useful for people who are hard of hearing or deaf. OpenJDK 17 updates. Android 14 includes features and improvements that align with the OpenJDK 17 LTS release, such as library updates and Java 17 language support for app and platform developers. Foreground service types required. Android 14 requires apps to specify at least one foreground service type for each foreground service they use. This helps users understand why an app is running in the background and manage their battery usage. Schedule exact alarms denied by default. Android 14 denies the schedule_exact_alarm permission by default for most newly installed apps targeting Android 13 and higher. This permission allows apps to schedule alarms that wake up the device at exact times. This helps reduce battery drain and improve device performance. These are some of the new features and improvements in Android 14 compared to Android 12. There are many more changes and enhancements that we will cover in our upcoming videos. Stay tuned for more updates on Android 14. So, how can you upgrade to Android 14, and what devices are compatible with it? Well, Google has made it very easy for users to get the latest version of its operating system. If you have a Pixel phone, you can simply go to Settings System Update and check for updates. You will see a notification when Android 14 is available for your device. Just tap on Download and install and follow the instructions. Your phone will reboot, and you will be running Android 14 in no time. If you have a non-Pixel phone, you will have to wait for your manufacturer to release the update for your device. Google has partnered with several companies, such as Samsung, OnePlus, Motorola, Nokia, LG, Sony, and more, to ensure that Android 14 reaches as many users as possible. You can check the list of compatible devices on Google's website or on your manufacturer's website. You can also go to Settings about Phone Software Update and check for updates manually. If Android 14 is available for your device, you will see a similar notification as Pixel users. Just follow the steps and enjoy the new features of Android 14. However, if your device is not compatible with Android 14, you might be out of luck. Google has said that Android 14 requires at least 4 GB of RAM and 64 GB of storage to run smoothly. This means that older or low-end devices might not be able to support the new version. Google has also said that it will stop providing security updates for devices running Android 11 or lower after December 2023. This means that if you want to keep your device secure and up to date, you might have to consider upgrading to a new device that supports Android 14. That's all for this section. In the next section, we will talk about some of the coolest features of Android 14 and how they can improve your user experience. Stay tuned